Welcome back, everyone. Well, this is going to be a great interview. It's about man's best friend. Well, according to statistics, about 70% of you are animal lovers, and the other 30% we don't know, but you probably will be at some day. I also have another statistic, too, that about 3,000 canines are put to sleep every day because the owners and the animals don't connect. So lo and behold, we found someone who lives in South Glens Falls who started something called the Upstate Canine Academy, and that's Tom Davis. Hello, Tom.
Hello, how are you?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is a very different kind of subject for us, and I want to talk a bit about, now you're a certified pet tech instructor.
Yeah.
And that title, somewhat descriptive of what you do, but not really. So tell me a bit about what that means.
So the certification that I have is a certified pet tech instructor, which allows me to do a training for everyone from Homeland Security contracts to doggy daycares to pet owners that have 1 or 2 dogs at home. And what it allows me to do is put on a certification training that provides them the information they need to respond in an emergency response if their dog or cat were to, let's say, stop breathing, or their heart stopped, or they got hit by a car and they have a fracture and they have bleeding problems. So that allows me to actually tell them what to do in an emergency response, which I think a lot of people don't understand or even know what to do during that situation if something like that happens. So that's what I do.
You know what? Before we went on air, Tom was telling me that he's worked with the military, you've worked with police forces, as well as families and individuals, correct?
Yep, it varies. I mean, everyone has a dog, and I think every dog has a purpose. And whether it's a pet or if it's a military canine, I mean, everyone has a job.
Right. It's interesting. When I grew up with dogs, Tom and I were talking about this also, and the relationship that you develop with a canine is as important as most relationships you develop with people.
And better. I think it's
better.
Yes,
That's right.
I think it's a lot better. I think canines have a big thing to offer humans. That's why it's called man's best friend.
Yes.
I think their loyalty is untouchable. The way that they communicate with us, they know when we're mad. They know when we're frustrated, sad, depressed, and they kind of step in and help us do that. Humans have conflicts, and it's growing and growing and growing. And so I think a lot of people are turning to their dogs for answers, and sometimes the dogs actually don't get, the humans don't get what they need out of the dog sometimes, and then the dog suffers from that. But I think that dogs are definitely fill-in for a lot of humans in most cases.
Oh my God, sure. There's so many studies about the compassion between humans and canines and how canines fill a lot of gaps for humans. Emotional gaps, spiritual gaps, right?
Yeah, physical gaps. CNI dogs, therapy dogs, post-traumatic stress, and stuff like that. They play a big role for everyone.
Now, in the academy, you were mentioning emergency situations.
Sure.
We understand that. Your dog is not breathing. Dog got hit by a car or something like that. But we have behavioral issues also, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
And you've seen the gamut of behavioral situations, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Give me some examples.
So, like I said, a lot of technology today is taking away some of our natural abilities to do things. Look up, look at the sky, feel things, stuff like that. As weird as that sounds, we kind of just take ourselves out of that now because we're always looking at our phones. When we're eating, we're looking at our phones. And our dogs have never changed. They don't go on YouTube or on Facebook and check what's going on. They're still looking at us like, why are you not paying attention to me? So as we grow as, I think, a whole race, what happens is people lose that development with animals, not just canines. But I think new things are starting to happen. You're seeing more aggression. You're seeing more neglect cases. You're seeing more not socialized dogs. If you don't socialize your dog just like humans, they develop these behavior problems that they can't be around other dogs or they can't be around other humans because they're afraid. So they're not sensitized for that. So I think what we're doing is we're paying more attention to electronics than nature. And as weird as that sounds, like I said, but when we have dogs at home and we walk up the stairs with our phone in our hand after work, and then we all the way to bed, and then our dogs don't get that love, they don't get to walk, they don't get the, and not everyone, but it's developing more and more for people to pay more attention to other things than.
Well, you know what that says to me, and you think about that in a technologically driven world. We get so absorbed in technology. The dogs don't understand this, and I think there's an important distinction here. that if a dog barks or something like that, some people think it's anger. It may not be anger, it might be fear. It might be looking for attention. You know, sometimes you just don't take that extra step or that extra breath to realize that this other entity is trying to communicate with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad. I've been seeing it a lot. I've been saving a lot of dogs, you know, from shelters and things of that sort because people aren't taking the time out to figure out what's going on. They're saying this puppy is now biting me and it went to the bathroom in the house and I don't want it anymore. And they're in the shelter. So we don't have the patience that we used to because we're on a demand always with everything now, with food, with athletics. It doesn't matter what it is. We're always on demand. And if something is not working the way we want it to, we get rid of it. And so that's what I've been doing at the Academy is helping people communicate.
Well, you know, you're talking about a whole other issue there. We're living in a disposable economy. And sometimes people, if they don't take that extra time to understand that there's something that they can do about this. Let's dwell just for a second on the behavioral side again.
Sure.
Someone comes to you with a situation with an animal, could be biting somebody, any of the things that they run into. What's your first step with that animal? It's like you're a dog whisperer in a way, right?
Yeah, some sense. I mean, the dog whisperers, it's a whole different thing. But I think what it is people, you know, sometimes they're just born with certain things. They have certain intuition to do certain things, like, you know, good athletes are good athletes. You know, they train and they condition and they're great because they have it in them. And I think that sometimes people are born with that kind of intuition. And when dogs come to me, I've had a lot of people I've had people cry and hug me and just be amazed of the communication that I can stir up with them. Because
How do you start that communication?
Right, I take the time out to actually work with the dog.
Right.
And say, okay, well, I'm going to focus on the dog first by leash work, letting the dog out, letting the dog be a dog, setting boundaries for dogs, letting the dog not jump on me, letting the dog not nibble my face, things of that sort. So I set boundaries, and I have a lot of confidence when I'm working with animals, and I think that completely, both ends of the leash have to be the same. And sometimes the owners get a little nervous, they get scared, they don't know what they're doing, and the dogs take advantage of them because they're social opportunists, so that's what happens. So first off, I tune in with the dog, and then I work with the humans.
And I guess to sum it up, it's about the communication, right?
Yeah.
And that there's a way to communicate if you just take the time to try to figure out what that path might be.
Yep. There's always dogs are always doing something for a reason. They don't just you know, if they get bored they bark, if they get scared they bark, if they, you know, whatever. They're always doing something for a reason, and sometimes we just have to take the time out to figure out the problem and then fix it.
You know, Tom, I really want to commend you. It's quite a passion you have there.
Yeah.
And I can tell when we were speaking about it, there's how much you actually care about it.
I do, yeah.
And that's really something.
Thank you.
You know, again, about 70% of us own dogs, and you should contact Tom. It's Tom Davis at the Upstate Canine Academy. You're located in South Glens Falls, right?
Yep.
And before you sort of give up on that dog, or you're kind of curious about some behavioral issues, give Tom a call. You know, this is somebody who deals with this every single day.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate
Pleasure
it.
to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Different kind of interview for us.
Good. That's what we need.
You got it. To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.